ancient architecture in India. So even the 3rd century to the 13th century, there were many developments. Even different dynasties had given importance to different kind of art forms, the cultural, structural and cultural art forms. In viharas, maybe in chaityas, maybe if you take Buddhists and Jainis who used to live in this viharas, in viharas, especially when it comes to viharas, right, the Buddhists actually used to stay while they were traveling one place to other place in the rainy season, maybe, or any time when they get tired and all. And then chaitras also there, chaitras, where in temples will feel that. And right, mandapas, even mandapas today in temples also we'll see mandapas. Mandapas means here outside courtyard areas. So where after visiting a god or goddess, we see that, right? We see the people gathering over there at the mandapas. That is also one kind of constructions in the 13th century itself, the 3rd century to 13th century. So today we are only following that legacy, whatever they had given to us. So still the technology is advanced. The intention of that here, technology is advanced, but the advanced technology was used when there was no technology. This is one thing. So in the last class, we learned that here how this so where this sculpture depicts, okay. And as we learned, Ellora and Ajanta, they when cave structure was encouraged, cave architecture was encouraged, and then stupas were in the form of, okay, that both Buddhist monks here in the name of that here, and where you can see the Jataka kathas, Jataka stories, where you can find out the stories of Buddhists, right? So how these stories of Buddhists really inspired many people, where they traveled and how would they, right, inspired with their scriptures and spiritual thoughts. So spirituality was one thing in Buddhism and Jainism. So they had developed some stupas and viharas, chaityas, and remaining others. So wherever they had constructed, if it comes to Maurya's Ashoka also, Ashoka's constructions, they were only the roadside shelters. You can see that here shelters. The people could see today in highways. We can find out some hotels and motels, like they are called highways. The hotels, what we call them as motels. So the these kind of developments were taken place even at the time, as we learned that in Indus civilization or Harappan civilization also had great right structure of architecture. So the modern civilization started in the 300 BC itself, and after that anodynamy, when it comes to in anodynamy in the 10th century, we can say the 10th century of anodynamy also. So these are all okay, but what is the use of this? As we learned in the last class, if you see in this right stupas, so the stupas construction, if you take this right Odisha, Puri, there is a temple, more Konark temple. The structure of that here, it is dedicated to the Lord's the sun. So as you learnt, actually Hinduism had taken the gods from the nature itself and Prakriti language. As we learned that here Prakriti language was there in the Indus civilization. From there, people used to start worshipping the nature. People used to start worshipping the nature, right? So when the people were worshipping the nature, from there we had taken the trees were worshipped, and rivers were worshipped, the sky was worshipped, and all the planets, whatever are there, were worshipped, because people felt that and believed in it. It might be belief or it might be the strong right intention or intuition of those people. Those intuitions actually have been formed in the form of structured architecture, we can say. So that is evolution from Indus civilization to now 10th century of AD also. So we had seen many kind of things. So in the last class we learned about, okay, what is the right here stupas. You can see here the stupa is about the in memory of somebody else. Modern architecture also you can see here. So how this modern architecture is going to give a scope for the people, right, to think in different way. The rise of the Mauryan Empire. The capital city of Pataliputra was an urban marvel described by a Greek ambassador of Megasthenes, as we learned that Megasthenes and the right Nicator also who came to the place. So at the time we found that right how this Chinese and Greek people also visited our nation, and they wanted our scriptures too. Indeed, the treasure of scriptures were fantastic, and that actually the scriptures had shown the science and technology at the time. So science and technology was there in India in the scriptures, in the form of scriptures and in the form of right devotional whatever it is. We learned that missiles technology also. The missiles technology, what actually our Tipu Sultan used the missile technology at the time. Even in Kurukshetra also, you can see that in Mahabharata, Kurukshetra, the war when it took place in Kurukshetra, that war also had used many kind of missiles. So even the technology was not developed at the time. The people used to be there. So just we found it, and remains of a monumental stone and architecture can be seen through the numerous artifacts and recovered from Patliputra, such as Patliputra capital. So the capital of Mauryans, the Patliputra was placed here. This cross fertilization of between different art streams covering on the subcontinent produced new forms that, while retaining the essence of the past, succeeded in integrating selected elements of the new influences. So integrated in structure of the integration, so that here these new elements have come or emerged from the cross fertilization of these things here between different art streams, right, covering that on the subcontinent produced in new forms of that year. So in the subcontinent, whatever they felt that you are producing of new continents, in that also one kind we found here. So somebody is coming from the lobby, please, okay, just to check it. And if anybody is unable to join, just you can connect the technical support team. The numbers might be given to you through our authority. Just you can contact them. Just only okay. Some people are unable to join, right? And the Indian Emperor of Ashoka. If you see this year, the rule of that year BC 2073 to 2032. So I think you know that here. Before Christ, always it goes from right big number to the small number to 273 to 232, and then it starts adding the first AD, second AD, anodynamic. So like here, so if you take Ashoka was in BC, even in that era, he started constructing of many pillars too, the pillar construction. Ashoka Chakra also, where he formed that here that Ashoka Chakra had taken as emblem for our nation flag. So it is also one significant thing we had seen right in the architecture of the ancients. That too, where here in BC 2073 to 2032, where the reign of Ashoka the emperor, right, of Mauryan. So that Ashoka also had encouraged the Buddhists at the time. So Mauryan period also actually was the period for Buddhists, and Buddhists also went to many places and started constructing this viharas maybe or chaityas and the other stupas also for the right sake of sake of everlasting memories, everlasting significance of that era. It might be so, as we learned that right, KCR also is constructing right what is the Yadadri today. So that might be for 100 years or 200 years. That may go to many thousands years also. The construction of that quality was that one. So now today you can see the right the Ashoka Chakra, whatever it is. So from BC to now, some thousands of years after, we could see them as like here the ancient treasure. So as an ancient treasure, we are seeing them as our right really India's pride, we can say. According to Buddhist tradition, Ashoka recovered the relics of the Buddha from the earliest stupas, like except from the Ramagram stupa, and erected 84,000 stupas to distribute the relics across India. So 84,000 stupas were there in the excavation through the archaeologists. Archaeologists means here the people who are from archaeological department. So archaeologists who came from the archaeological department, they had some excavations. They found some thousands of 84 thousands of stupas at the same time. Other caves also. When it comes to cave architecture, I'll tell you that here. So many thousands of right these red caves also were found in the excavation. In effect, many stupas are thought to date originally from the time of Ashoka, such as Sanchi or Kesaria Stupa also, where he also erected pillars with his inscriptions, and possibly Bharuhatta and Amravati or Dharmaraja Kal and Gandhara. So the Shilpa Gandhara also is one kind of different kind of dressing style, different kind of right ear studs. If you take the women who used to be there, Gandhara Kala, it was Gandhara art, we can say. The Gandhara art, the women who used to have that ear studs and earrings and nose studs, okay, whatever. So the right accessories, we can say, the women accessories were totally different from the culture what we had, but they were very elegant and grand, what we say that the antique pieces. So like antique pieces the people had the time. Today we are seeing in some movies that, yeah, they are using those kind of costumes. So we are coming back to the era where the people used here, right? So if you take here Jataka Kathas, the stories of here about the Buddhas. So the stories which tells about the Buddhism and their, right, their travel and their hymns maybe, their steps forward for the right next generations. So this is very important, because if you today you feel that, sir, I live my life only myself, this may not happen. So because you live your life yourself, but when you live your life and leave this world after some years, 80 years or 90 years or 100 years, 120 years, but they'll not have any history. When there is no history, there is no existence of the presence. So today we are here means here because of only history. The history was there. The people who are there, Buddhists maybe, Jainists maybe, or Mughals maybe. Mughal architecture, you can see. Mughal architecture also one of the great architectures of the nation, which was taken from the Persia, which is in Iran. So that the people, even Tata today, he came from Persian. So when Vivekananda was traveling towards the other country at the time, the Tata people were actually met him. They met him in the voyage. So at the time said that, here, where were they going? Like he asked. So Tata said that, okay, we were going to other country for investing our money and doing some business industry somewhere. So Vivekananda said at the time to them, India has population. So this population has very great talent and intellectual brain, so that you can use them and you can construct over anything here. Like, so then Tatas came to India again and started constructing many industries. That is rest of the story, as you know that. So here every person has some history, means here they had done something for the next generations. So next generations are there because of only what here, only the present. Next generations are there because of only present. The present people are there because of only the history. That's what we should not ignore history anytime. The history definitely survives and prevails always here. The future Buddha may appear as a king, an outcast, a god, an elephant, but in whatever form he exhibits some virtue that the tale thereby inculcates. Often, Jataka tales include an extensive cast of characters who interact and get into various kinds of trouble. Whereupon the Buddha character intervenes to resolve all the problems and bring about a happy ending. So if you see that all this, so what about the Jataka Kathas telling about the characteristics extensive of the caste and characters of the people, and of course the casteism which was emerged from the only people, as you know that in the Buddhism also there in the right, whatever the ism it is, Hinduism or Islamism. So ism is that here a way, a medium of the a medium which led the people to believe in it and practice such kind of activities. That is called ism. So today, some of you say that here, Pavanism. So Pavanism is that what is your be good and be humanistic and help others and okay, be kind to everyone. So what the Pawan Kalyan fans say. So here the same, every era, every century has some ism. In that ism, Hitler has some other ism. So what is called what was it here? What was history? If you go to Hitler, I told you regarding it. So everybody has some ism, communism maybe, or socialism maybe, or Jainism maybe, Buddhism maybe. So the people who lived in the life, so they had their own culture. So they had given that here the people have to live in these parameters. So when the people had that parameters, the people had that kind of okay, structures of their buildings. Gumpas, sometimes actually if you see that Ladakh and some places, gumpas were there. Gumpas were the places where the people used to live, a small hut kind of homes. That's not a kompa. Generally, we can say that kompa of Telugu. People say that here kompa is something like that. So gumpa is that. So where the right in Ladakh and some other places, they were constructed in the long back. That too, that are also Buddhism. So where in Ladakh also you can find out Buddhism. So Buddhist tourists are there, and tourists who come over there, they find out that processions and the same time fairs, fairs whenever they find it out. So the culture which was there in India, that was evergreen culture. Today, even foreigners are adapting it, as we know that. But here let us see what cave architecture is saying about. Caves in India have been regarded with a reverence since time immemorial. Here the most primitive caves were the natural ones that were used for different reasons by natives of such areas as places of worship and shelters. Facts supported by data indicate employment and modifications of such caves since the Mesolithic period here. That was 6000 BC. So from 6000 BC, if you come to here, and then 2022 AD today, so still we are going to learn about it, how this cave structures were there. So as you know that Mahabalipuram also one kind. At same time, Burra caves, okay, Burra caves also one kind, and Ajanta Ellora caves also one kind. So these caves, as we learned that, okay, the caves are not actually they're taken from some place to other place. Naturally, the things were there, and these people went to that places and sculpted the things and right structured something like here. The architecture was like that. Only architecture has come from the minds of the ancients. Today, architecture has a course. Architecture as an engineering branch also, architecture as some other right designing for part also. But at the time the mind was a design for them, and the technology which they use, that was advanced technology, today we are using in technological era also. So the arrival of Buddhist missionaries saw use of such natural cases as right what is it? Varshavasa, that is places of dwelling during rainy season. Here you can see that viharas, as I told that here viharas. So viharas they constructed. So viharas they constructed for living, dwelling in the sense here, living at the places in the rainy season. That is one kind. So they constructed there itself here in the BCs, and accordance with the aesthetic nature of the Buddhism, you can see what is stupa here. The stupa itself is a symbol of the Buddha, and more accurately of his enlightened mind and presence. Enlightened mind. So sometimes when we listen to any of the speaker's speeches, we can say that yes, sir, enlightened. You have enlightened us. So means giving some the other side of right life, other side of scope, whatever we don't know that here. So enlightened with their speeches, so that here the people also had that kind of enlightened mind and presence of that here. The mount itself is said to represent the form of the seated Buddha, meditating and striving towards enlightenment. Finally, the spire represents the enlightenment itself, the pinnacle of Buddhist achievements here. So the stupa is telling about the symbol of Buddhist, and at the same time their complete right memories. So in memory of something, so reminiscence of something, so reminiscences whatever they had that year, they have that inscriptions over there. They had sculpted the inscriptions over there. Whenever the tourists go there and find out, they find out how great the people were. And at the same time, so as we learned that here, definitely genes are important, cells are important for us. The cells and genes are there in our body. So still that IQ levels are there, whatever our ancient people had it, because these castes and religions have been created after some years. But when the people were there, the no caste and no religion was there. So when no caste and no religion was there at the time, the cells were there. Of course, everybody has cells. Everybody has genes at the time also. So that's been transferring and transmitting to one place to other place, other one to other one, other one that one. So like here, everybody has the great knowledge and great intellectual brain to everyone. But thing is here, so after some circumstances, after creating castes and religions and all the things, people felt that here I am like this, here I am not from so and so caste, I am not from so and so caste, these people have to do this work, these people have to do this work, and people decided this. Because at the time, praying, preying, the people were praying for food and all, and the people who are very strengthened and all, they were ruling, and they decided that here the person has to do this cultivation, the person has to do this right construction of this, the person has to mess it. So like here everybody has their own kind of, so whoever were very stronger, they decided that here the people are classified into that here according to that professions, according to their works. The castes and religions were totally formed. That is scientifically. Okay, then when it comes to that here, what characteristics of the Gandhara style? So Gandhara style also one kind here, that combination of Greek and Indian architecture. So what naturally it is given. Gandhara style has naturalism in body form, drapery. What is drapery here? Drapery, you can say the curtains and the clothes which we use, especially in the interior designing of homes. So that was there, drapery and the pictorial scale also. So everything it looks like Bapu art, Bapu art or any Leonardo da Vinci. If you take Leonardo da Vinci, right, how he painted the Mona Lisa picture. So these kind of pictures we had seen in the imaginary and portraits on the screens, but the things they had lived in their life. It's not imaginary picture here. So drapery, maybe the clothing and styles, the studying and jewelry. It was very heavy and very qualitative, very sophisticated. So very antique. So this is Gandhara style. So this kind of architecture also was constructed all over the right nation too. The male figures are shown with musculature, so musculature completely right, like very strong and strengthened, and drapery with the sharp flowing folds, wavy curled hair and sharp features. So these are all the right how this Gandhara style has come. So this is seen only as portrait, as a picture, or as a photography. Whereas it comes in the realistic here, that is used in India. So that's one great art is there. That a great architecture is there in India. So today, if you go to some big houses, can see this kind of Gandhara style of paintings and stones also. If you see in the marble stones the shops also today, the people have today the sculpted kind of pictures, the lady pictures or any kind of right couple pictures were there, and those are actually taken to home and they are right installed at a wall or right pasted at the wall with that clay and other things. So this structure today we are using, taking from here where here in BCs. So this structure, this style is used in the BCs and today we are using. So with the technology. So nothing is there, always recycling. So where it started, there it goes. Where it ends, again there it goes. So this is only the cycle, definitely it happens. The extended ears are merely due to the downward thrust of the heavy air rings and worn by a princess of a magnet or magnet, whatever the prince or magnet here. So you can see that the people how they were used, that Gandhara style and Greek style, and Greek what we say that sculptured people, at the same time Greek at the same time combination of Gandhara, that Indian style has been emerged by the people who ruled at the time. Rock cut temples, if you see the rock cut temples also, temples were hewn out of huge rocks. The earliest rock cut temples were built in the western Deccan in the early years of the Christian era. The Chaitya at the Kerala caves with fine high halls and polished decorative wall is a remarkable example of rock cut architecture. The Kailash temple at Ellora, built by the Rashtrakutas, and the Radha temple of Mahabalipuram, built by the Pallavas, are other examples of rock cut temples. In all probability, the stability and permanence of rocks attracted the patrons of art and builders who decorated these temples with beautiful sculptures here. So as you know that how these rock cut temples, as we are seeing today that right r- going to the places and constructing the temples over there, wherever the big boulders are there, wherever the big boulders are there, people used to go there and right sculpting over there and finding the temple over there. So without any carrying of the right stones from some other places here, the entire the Swayambhu, the Swayambhu kind of temples we can say in the North India, North India and in Maharashtra especially. If you see, there are many Lord Shiva temples which were constructed in the rock cut kind of temples. So that Brihadeshwar and many other. 250 BC, these artificial caves exhibit an amazing level of technical proficiency. The extremely hard granite rock being cut in geometrical fashion and polished to a mirror-like finish. So in 250 BC itself, this architecture, right, has been totally developed as an indigenous technology. The indigenous technology is nothing other than a local technology which we can use in our era. So in the olden days, people used to depend on only the foreign technology, especially it comes to very here missiles and all. Really, the rockets also, the rocket science also was taken from the foreigners. Whereas whenever our Abdul Kalam and other scientists who developed that indigenous technology, so we are using today rocket and other missiles also with our own technology. So here there is inbuilt technology is been there, but we are not finding that inbuilt technology, just only going for the others technology what we are using today. So that is one kind we understand about it, right from that area. Famous rock cut temples today we can see. I whole has three Jainist temples here, and that is one kind of rock cut temple. Aurangabad caves, one thing here you can see if you go to Aurangabad, Maharashtra, you can find out there also there are temples, caves also, and Badami cave temples. So right there itself here, and Bag caves, Elephanta caves, Ellora caves has 12 Buddhist and 17 Hindu and 5 Jain temples also there, and Gopachal rock cut Jain mountain monuments, and Gwalior and Konark and Kanheri caves. So here many of them. So rock cut in the sense here as it is there. The definition is there here. The rocks which are there, and the people went there and they sculpted over and they found the temples and sanctum. The sanctum is inside here, Garbhagriha. We can say the sanctum. So sanctum is a Garbhagriha which is inside of the temple, and sanctorium is the upper part of temple, the shikhara, that is called the. So this Garbhagriha and sanctum and sanctorium also we are using that today, and which was used in the earlier days. That is one thing we understand about. And freestanding temples, today we are seeing this. So what is freestanding temples? Just only we are seeing today Mahabalipuram maybe, or today we can see anywhere the people are constructing over. Those are all freestanding temples here. Pallavas also built the other structural temples like Kailash Nath temple, and what is here, Vaikunta Perumal temples of Kanchipuram. The Cholas built many temples, most famous being the Bradeshwara temple at Tanjavur. So Brudeshwar temple also we can see that, which is in Tanjavur. So these are all freestanding kind of temples which are used. Differences between the Dravidian style and the Nagara style. If you see that Nagara style and Dravidian styles also, how this free kind of freestanding temples, we can see that here how these are. So Nagara style of temples architecture emerged in North India, and Dravidian style of architecture evolved in South India. So Dravidians and Aryans. There is always one rivalry that here. Dravidians means here all South Indians are called Dravidians. Aryans who are Aryans, the North Indians called Aryans. So this Aryans had this Nagara style of temple architecture, and Dravidians who are there here in India, so southern part of nation, so they are called Dravidian style of architecture. Both Nagara and Dravidian style of architecture emerged from the earliest style known as the Panchayatana style of architecture. These actually have been taken from Panchayatana architecture. So Panchayatana architecture, which was the oldest architectures, so from there it has been derived here. Whatever it is, even North Indians had taken some kind of style and they named something here, and Dravidians had taken some kind of, they had named something else. But there is overall Panchayatana is one style architecture which was there earlier emerging this year Nagara style, at the same time the other Dravidian style also, whatever it is, right? Basically, the development can be divided into three stages. So how this development is taken place? First, there were simple pillars and structures. So this is common. So where it was there in BC itself, these pillared structured kind of temples have been erected. That's called freestanding temples. So freestanding temple style still is being used in this, right, in this era, in this year also. In the second stage, more curving were added, curvings, totally curvings. The stone is taken and entire curves. Today, if the people really had seen Yadadri temple, we are lucky to see that here. The construction of temples we could not see in the right previous years, the previous eras. But today, if you go to right Yadadri, you would find out how the sculpted. So Anand Sai design has been sculpted by the sculptures over there. So that here that has become a great architecture today, and modern architecture also used in this. So that here basically the development can be divided into three stages. First, there were simple pillars and structures. In the second stage, more carving were added and the top part became heavy. To the pillars were also made more ornate here. So top part here, which gives that a complete pillar kind of, because supporting of roof. So the pillars have to support the roof, so that the people constructed the pillars at the time in that way. So no cement was used, no iron was used, only rocks had been taken and right erected like that and sculpted the things there itself. So this freestanding temples have been there. Today we are using the new technology as in that here cement and iron and all in the right in the second phase, that is okay. Then in the third stage, more decoration were added to the shikara top part and also the pillars. So shikara means the top part of it, as you know that sanctorium. So the shikara is called sanctorium. The inner part of temple is called sanctum. Sanctum and sanctorium, these are the major parts for the temple. So if these are very good constructed, so people say that it is good. Sometimes people could not visit god or goddess of the sanctum. If the people could see the sanctorium, that's enough for them and that will be fine for them. So this is happening over. So we understand about this. So major dynasties of South India, if you see the dynasties of South India, Dravidian culture, Aryan culture is different. So as know that, so during the reign of Ashoka 304 to 232 BC, the three Tamil dynasties of Chola, Chera and Pandya, Chola, Chora and Pandya were ruling the South India. And in that Kakatiya, Vijayanagara also prominent places are there. Then other one here, Pandya dynasty, Chola dynasty, Chora dynasty, Satavahana dynasty, Pallava dynasty, Kadambas and Banavasi dynasties, Gangas and Taliks and Chalukyas, Cholas dynasty, all many of, right? So especially if you see this here, Guptas, right? The dynasties which had, right, which had left the significant place for the architecture in the South India. So that is one thing we can see that here. Okay, that's what. Next, if you see this rock cut, if you have the book, just you can see. Just I go through this one. In the last class, we had finished up to this one, only up to Dhamek Stupa and Stupas and Mauryans and cave architecture, how it is. The development of cave architecture is another unique feature and marks an important phase in the history of Indian architecture. And more than 1,000 caves have been excavated, where archaeologists have discovered sculptures that were created in the 2nd century BC and AD 10th century. Famous among these were the Ajanta and Ellora cave of Maharashtra and the Udaygiri caves of Odisha. These caves hold Buddhist viharas, chaityas, as I explained you regarding it already. Just I am going through this one. And viharas, chaityas, as well as mandapas and pillar temples of Hindu gods and goddesses. So this cave architecture has developed in this way. Rock cut temples. So as explained in this, just I'm going to give you that here. Temples were hewn out of huge rocks. Temples were hewn out of huge rocks. The earliest rock cut temples were built in the Western Deccan in the early years of the Christian era. The Chaitya at the Kerala caves with fine high halls and a polished decorative wall is a remarkable example of rock cut architecture. The Kailash temple at Ellora, built by the Rashtrakutas, and the Radha temple of Mahabalipuram, built by the Pallavas, are other examples of rock cut temples. So, how this I'll explain you regarding it, how Pallavas had ruled it, because some every dynasty has given some importance to some, right here. So, here, especially if you take here Mahabalipuram, Pallavas had given for constructing temples. Guptas also had given constructing temples. So here some dynasties had given different importances here. In all probability, the stability and permanence of rocks what is here attracted the patrons of art and builders who decorated these temples with beautiful sculptures and freestanding temples. If you see how these standing temples could be there, the temple building activities that began during the Gupta rule continued. So here you can see that Gupta rule continued to flourish in later periods. In southern India, the Pallavas, Cholas, Pandyans, Hoysalas, and later the rulers of Vijayanagara kingdom were great builders of temples. The rulers built the shore temple of Mahabalipuram. The Pallavas also built other structural temples like the Kailasanatha temple and the Vaikunta Perumal temple at Kanchipuram. The Cholas built many temples, the most famous being the Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. Cholas were the in Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. The Cholas developed a typical style of temple architecture of South India called the Dravidian style. Cholas had adapted the Dravidian style of it and complete with Vimana and Shikara, as I told that here, Sanctorium, right? That was completely designed by Cholas at the time. Cholas designed it. High walls and the gateway topped by the Gopuram. Magnificent temples were built at Belur and Helebedu, and where the stone engraving reached even greater heights. In northern and eastern India, magnificent temples were constructed as well in what is now referred to as the Nagara style. Most of them consisted of the Shikara, that is spiral roof, the Garbhagruha sanctum, and the Mandap pillared halls here. So these are all in Cholas dynasty, how these people had developed it. So Dravidian complete style was totally adapted by the Cholas, and today what we are seeing, the modern temples also, it was sanctum and sanctoriums also, or shikara, as he's saying that here, spiral roof. So spiral roof here, you can see that to the temple top position, that's called sanctorium, were only taken from here, where from Cholas dynasty. And if you see the page number 32, if you have the books in your hand, please just you can check it out. Page number 32, carved wheel from the Sun Temple Konark. So some Sun Temple Konark, the curved wheel is there here. You can see. Of course, you are finding out this. Okay. So how this is sculptured here? So it is rock temple. So it is sculpted to the rock itself. You can see the temples like here. Odisha has some of the most beautiful temples, such as the Lingaraja temple, which was built by the Somavamsi kings. So Somavamsi kings over there. Lingaraja temple was constructed at the time, and with addition by the Ganga rules, and the Mukteshwara temple in Bhubaneswar and the Jagannath temple in Puri are also instances of exemplary temple art. At the same time, the Sun Temple in Konark was built in the 13th century by the eastern Ganga rulers Narsimha Deva. Narsimha Deva 1 and 1 2. Actually, at the time, the rulers used to name their only, right, their uh, ancestors, like, okay, the names 1 2, like the temple is dedicated to Surya, the sun god, and has been designed as a 12 wheeled chariot, as 12 wheeled chariot, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, 12 wheeled chariot, which was chariot. The temple itself was constructed just like a 12 wheeled chariot. How that actually, that radham would be there, right, chariot. So that temple was constructed in the form of chariot. So they have own designing. And the temple, uh, as you know, the temple complex at Khajuraho was built by the Chandala rulers between the 10th and 11th centuries in the Bundelkhand region of Madhya Pradesh. Most important among them is the Kandariya Mahadeva temple, one more here. And Mount Abu in Rajasthan is known for the Dilwara temples dedicated to Jain Tirthankaras. These were built in pure white marble and adorned with exquisite sculptures. They were built under the patronage of the Solanki rulers. So Solanki rulers also. So one of the rulers here, where it is in North India, the Somanath temple in Gujarat, the Somnath temple, the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi, the Govindar Devji temple in Madhura, and Kamakya, okay, Kamakya temple in Guwahati, Shankaracharya temple in Kashmir, and the Kali temple at Kalighat in Calcutta are some other important temples which bear testimony to the temple building activities of the Indian subcontinent. In Indian subcontinent, people had, okay, found this kind of different kind of temples too, and for the right sake of, right, sake of next generation, we can say, because the only whatever you write, it is not simple one, that right, that is taken from your mind, and that mind is going to give a great knowledge to the next generations. So that's what those the ancient kings and dynasties also had done the same. so that we understand about the temple architecture maybe, or any other stupas and Buddhist stupas maybe, or any Jainist stupas, Jainist viharas maybe, and all these things whichever they had constructed, they were very good at indeed. So that we found the greatness of right ancient architecture. By this we are finishing the architecture of India. So ancient architecture in India, so how it was and what kind of constructions were there. By this we finish, and the remaining, the grammar part will be continued in the next classes, maybe in offline or online. We'll have some more lively classes also. If you suggest any kind of very good things, it's better for better live classes also. So live classes to be conducted when students are interactive. So that's what I didn't ask anyone to speak something else, because in asking itself we are wasting our time. That's what I continued it, and I presented the PPTs also and explained through the this one. And if you want more, I had shared the video at the same time some more information through the article of Wikipedia too. I shared in your official WhatsApp for B and A also. You can get more information from this. So anyhow, this historical lesson, which has only brief information regarding the temple architecture at the same time, right? Rock cut temple architecture and cave architecture and freestanding temple architecture. You understood about it? You understood about it? And further definitely will continue. So only one thing here, if you speak, that will be very lively. So out of 130, just only 66 students are present. Now I'm going to download the attendance. Attendance is mandatory anyhow. If anything happens based on this only, marks will be awarded. So that you must be very careful. Attend, first of all, you join and attend the classes. So as you know that the importance of online attendance, how it would be, as you faced already in intermediate second year, that attendance is compulsory for everyone. Do join and listen to the classes. Just only if you don't want to see the screen also, just use the earphones and listen to the classes. At least something is better than nothing. So that is a philosophy of everyone's life. Okay, so better late than never also. If you are tired of it, because this odd hour, 12:30 to 1:20 is odd hour, people would be hungry also. So don't worry, even you can join after taking lunch. In between that, you take during lunch also, you can listen to the classes, because you are at home. When you are at home, there is a possibility of listening to the classes while taking your lunch too. Whenever you want to on camera, then you have to be somewhat very good and disciplined. Otherwise you can listen however it is. So listening to the classes are important, and joining the class are important. Yesterday 90 or 104 were there, today 66. Of course, whatever it is, right, just you be careful. And by this I'm going to wind up after downloading your attendance. Wait for some time. And some of them actually wanted to join, but some could not join. If any problem is there, you can contact the technical people. If you contact the technical people, they will help you, because I am actually giving admitting here. When you are coming through lobby, I'm admitting. Even without lobby also people could join, but there is one option is not enabled, it seems. So still it's going on. So that all of you, I hope you understand. All right, if any joining problem, technical problems are there, meet the technicians and system admins, so that you will get it. Okay. So all the best and happy Pongal, Bogi, Kanuma, and everything. Okay, see you then. I'm going to wind up.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Wish
you,
you
Bye,
sir.
bye,
all
bye.
the
Thank you,
best.
sir.
Bye,
Bye,
bye.
sir.
I shared the video. Just you
Thank
listen
you,
to once.
sir.
Okay, I shared the video on this. Okay, just you listen to once and go through the that one, the article which I shared with Wikipedia. At same time, if the books are there, just to go through it. No need to spend much time and don't get strained to your brain. If you go through this lesson, just only 3 pages or 1.5 pages are there, and only two pictures are already covered to this, so that only 2.5 pages lesson is there. So what is the importance of the ancient architecture, who constructed, and all these things. Okay, this is about simple one. So we finished the lesson by these three classes, and further we'll have the grammatical kind of post reading are there. In this post reading we'll have vocabulary part again, and grammar part, noun pronoun agreement also there, reflections, persons, that pronouns, how they're used, pronouns, possessive pronouns and relative pronouns, personal pronouns, what are the pronouns here, subject, verb, agreement also, one more here, and then reading skills, one more topic is there for us, and tasks also given for this, and in this letter writing also there for you in the second, and facts and opinions also there, letter writing is there, then in this one more, what is there, letter writing, requisition letters and resume also there in this second unit of the exercise grammar part, sample covering letter also given. So we'll have this. Okay, in this lesson we have the important topics: resume writing, covering letter, and letter writing. So, and remaining all okay. Anyhow, LSRW skills are common, and let us see how we are going to cover all these things. Right. Hopefully, we'll meet again on Monday on 17th with very good health, fit and fiddle. Let us be fit and fiddle and come back again. Okay? All the best.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Okay, sir.
Right.
Thank
Thank
Have a
you,
you.
nice day, sir.
sir.
Have a nice day.
Okay,
A
sir.
nice vacations. Don't go out and take precautions, however it is. Okay? All of you.
Okay, sir.
Take care. Take care. Right.
Okay, sir. Happy Sankranti, sir.
Happy
Okay, sir.
Stop
Sankranti.
applying butter, everyone.
Aditya,
Yes,
God
sir.
bless you. See you then. Bye.
Sir, these people are applying
Bye, sir.
butter to you, sir. Don't listen to their words.
What they are doing?
They are applying butter, sir.
Okay, it's okay anyhow. Take care. Don't be careless and be careful and right. Take precautions. Be good. Hopefully, be at home. If any emergency is there, just you go out and come back immediately and wash your hands. Wear the mask. If vaccination is not taken, take the vaccination. Go for second vaccination within the time period. All the best. Bye.
Okay, sir.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nana. Bye.